Good morning, sportsmen and women of Tennessee, and welcome to the regular commission meeting for August for the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission here at our Region 2 office. I'd like to remind commissioners, agency staff, and the public of the agency's mission statement to preserve, conserve, manage, protect, and enhance the fish and wildlife of the state and their habitats for the use, benefit, and enjoyment of the citizens of Tennessee and its visitors. The agency will foster the safe use of the state's waters through a program of law enforcement, education, and access. Before we get started, I'd like to call on Commissioner Torbett to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we said a prayer yesterday for America, for Tennessee, for wildlife. I'm just going to lift up Torrey Little today, if that's okay with you. Father, we just come before you today and we just lift up our friend Torrey Little. We just pray that as he goes through his procedure today, you would give the surgeons wisdom, give his family comfort, and you would just watch over him. We just lay him at your foot of your throne. We just ask that you would just watch over everything about him, everything about the procedure today. We love him. We're thankful for him. We just ask that you be with his family again through this whole process. In Jesus' name. Amen.
I'd like to welcome each and every one of you, but also like to call out some visitors. I hope I do not mispronounce your name. Angie Bilbrey, Judy and David Maynard, Robert Patula, Don Hackford, Vanessa Mark, Ken Mark, Bertha Mark, Tony Sanders, previous commissioner, Kenneth Sanders, Jacob Barber, Morgan Barber, Brian McLaren, previous commissioner, Bill Cox, previous commissioner, Clarence and Laura Dyes, faithful attendees, Fred Moody, Greg Martin, he's a state representative here that's, we're happy to have you, Representative Martin. Thank you. Bill Cooksey, Kaylee Renner with and Kevin Hensley with Tennessee Farm Bureau, and Horace Tipton with the Wildlife Federation, and Isabella Mucci. Isabella, you have to get with me later, make sure I'm pronouncing your name properly. So, welcome. Miss G, would you call the roll, please?
Monty Ballou. Here. Brad Box.
Here.
Stan Butt. Greg Davenport.
Here.
Steve Jones.
Here.
Ford Little. John McCarty.
Here.
Rosemary McElhaney.
Here.
Rhonda Moody.
Here.
Chip Saltzman.
Here.
Haynes Torbett.
Here.
Steve Johnson. Chris Devaney.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioners, I think you've been provided with a copy of the minutes from the April meeting. The chair will entertain a motion for approval. Second.
Second.
Minutes approved. Are there any announcements or points of privilege from the commission? Seeing none, Director Maxidon, I believe you have a report.
Yes, sir. Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Good morning, members of the public. Today's going to be a special day. We got a lot of family members in the audience. We get to do some special recognitions a little bit later in the ceremony. As representatives of hunters and anglers across the state, your votes today matter very much, commissioners, as a license rule or an investment in the future of the agency and the capacity for our hunters. Basically, this is going to put a lot of habitat on the ground, ensure high quality outdoor recreation, support public safety through law enforcement, and provide outreach and education for Tennesseans. Funding's a challenge. I think we've been talking about this for some time, really for months and really throughout the last couple of years. It's not going away. And we will remain relentless in securing sustainable long-term funding solutions for this agency. We're confident that we brought forward a good, sound budget proposal that Frank presented to you all yesterday to address some of these concerns while allowing us to maintain strong programs and as additional funding becomes available. As you heard yesterday, the license rules are a critical part of keeping our conservation work strong. We fully understand that any increase in license fees affects the hunting and fishing community. That's a community that we are all a part of, and we don't take that lightly. This step is not about raising prices just to be able to raise prices. It's about making sure that we can continue providing the habitat that our hunters want, public access, law enforcement support that Tennesseans, sportsmen, and women count on. We've worked hard to keep these increases as modest as possible. You all know that we're 40% behind on CPI, but we're committed to ensuring that every dollar goes directly toward things that matter. And that's healthy wildlife populations that we all enjoy hunting. That's better hunting and fishing opportunities. That's access. We know that that's the number one barrier that keeps people into hunting and angling. And then safety that our officers are doing as they patrol our lands and waters to be able to do that. It's also worth noting that the first adjustment has been in over a decade. This has been mentioned several times over the course of the last 2 years. During that time, the cost of providing this high-quality wildlife management outdoor recreation has climbed steadily. I tell people all the time that we really farm for a living. We're no different than most of the farmers, whether that's for fish or whether that's for wildlife, and all of our costs have soared and risen just like farmers have. This move helps us protect the traditions that we all care about, not just for today, but for the next generation of hunters and anglers. So thank you to the staff who've dedicated countless hours to helping prepare these proposals. We're all very grateful for that. And thank you to each commissioner. I know that you all spent many hours. I know that we've had lots of phone calls and meetings going over this. I'm thankful for all that you've put into studying these proposals. And I know that you've taken a lot of calls from constituents. Thank you for taking the time to be able to hear from them. And thank you for the folks that have commented in. Thank you for what you've put forth, whether that's been on the website, whether you've reached out to your commissioner. Thank you to the public for doing that. Before we dive into our work today, we've got several awards from the Law Enforcement Division. I want to recognize one individual that we won't call up during the award ceremony, but at the 2026 North American Wildlife Enforcement Officers Association Conference in Omaha, Nebraska, one of our own was recommended. Jay, if you'll pop that picture up, I think you got a picture to bring up for us, but that's Tennessee Game Warden Dustin Moffitt from District 21. He received the Life-Saving Award. This award recognizes conservation officers who perform direct life-saving actions during emergency situations. You all probably remembered that we recognized Dustin last year with the Valor Award for rescuing several people during the flash flood in Sumner County in June 2025. So congratulations, Dustin. Where are you? I saw you earlier. You are, Dustin. I saw you earlier. Congratulations. We're proud of the work you've done. Thank you for your hard work there. Law enforcement will also be presenting their annual awards today. The officers and dispatchers are being recognized today are examples of high caliber of our employees. You all know this. You support them very well. We're thankful for that. They're dedicated to the mission of this agency, and they're dedicated to the hunters and anglers of the state. Many have family members present. Again, thank you to the family members that have showed up today. I want to personally thank you. When officers are in the field, they sacrifice family time. When dispatchers are working a lot of nights and weekends, especially on the holidays, they're sacrificing time with their families. This sacrifice keeps Tennesseans safe and protects wildlife and future generations. So to our officers, thank you for the exemplary work that you perform, and congratulations. I know the team's going to come up and recognize you shortly. And thank you so much to the family members for all the work that you do to be able to support your loved one and allow them to be able to work in this field. Also, we're going to have a special recognition next. One of our own, Commissioner Tony Sanders, is going to be recognized with a resolution. Commissioner, congratulations. I know the chairman's going to come up and read that. We're thankful for what you do, for all the years with your radio show, the hard work that you've put into supporting us. I know you've been trying to help us through the Wildlife Federation with dedicated funding. We're very grateful for that. Representative Martin, thank you for coming in. Representative Martin is the Ag Chair Subcommittee, which we have to go before a lot. And I'm going to say this, he's way better than our last subcommittee chair. Now, I say that, everybody's tickled about that, but Rusty Grills, thank you for what you do. Rusty and I are from the same community, but Representative Martin has actually replaced him on there, and we're very excited about that appointment, that he's going to be there. So thank you, sir, for your hard work. I know he's going to have a few words to come up and say in just a minute. Mr. Chairman, I know at this time you're ready to recognize Tony Sanders with his resolution, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, sir.
Yeah, Commissioner Devaney is volunteered to read this resolution. I think he's from the general area of Mr. Sanders, so.
Yeah, we're fellow Chattanoogan's, and I've known Tony. I think I knew Tony before outdoors. Actually, we won't get into that, but politics. So, thank you for all you do, Tony. It's an honor to be here today to read this. A resolution to honor Tony Sanders for his outstanding service to Tennessee outdoor heritage. The Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission recognizes individuals whose exceptional dedication and service have advanced the conservation, management, and appreciation of Tennessee's fish and wildlife resources. For more than 35 years, Tony Sanders has devoted himself to promoting hunting, fishing, conservation, outdoor education, firearm safety, and leaving an enduring legacy that has benefited countless Tennesseans and strengthened the traditions that define the volunteer state. In 2007, Tony Sanders launched the Tony Sanders Outdoors on WGOW radio, creating a trusted forum and virtual campfire for sportsmen and women across the Tennessee Valley. And for nearly 20 years, provided education, information, and support for Tennessee's outdoor traditions. Through his programs, Mr. Sanders amplified the voices of conservation organizations and partners, including Ducks Unlimited, the National Wild Turkey Federation, Trout Unlimited, Quail Forever, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Friends of the NRA, and many others, thereby fostering greater public understanding and appreciation of wildlife conservation and responsible outdoor recreation. And whereas Mr. Sanders consistently promoted hunting safety and responsible firearm ownership and used his platform to advocate for tree stand safety, helping to protect hunters throughout Tennessee. And whereas as head of education and outreach for Highland Sportsman's Club in Hickson, and as a Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency hunter education instructor for more than 20 years, he has taught and mentored thousands of young hunters and outdoor enthusiasts, earning recognition as the Tennessee Wildlife Federation State Hunter Education Educator of the Year in 2001. Tony, you've done a lot of stuff. Mr. Sanders founded Wild Game Day, providing hands-on outdoor education experiences to young people throughout Southeast Tennessee, and further extended his commitment to developing future generations of conservation-minded citizens. His dedication to firearm safety and youth development led him to serve as chairman of the Tennessee Friends of the NRA, supporting youth shooting sports, law enforcement programs, and the Eddie Eagle Gun Safe program. And whereas in 2017, Governor Bill Haslam appointed Tony Sanders to serve as District 4 Commissioner on the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, where he faithfully served until 2021, bringing to the commission a deep understanding of conservation and education and the needs of Tennessee sportsmen and women, and highlighting his decades of service and advancing the voices of this community. Mr. Sanders also selflessly volunteered with Hunts for Warriors, helping providing life-changing hunting experiences to injured combat veterans and demonstrating his commitment honoring those who served our nation. And whereas, although the final broadcast of Tony Sanders Outdoors aired on May 30th, 2026, the impact of Tony's work will continue through the thousands of young people he has educated, the families he has inspired, the conservation efforts he has championed, excuse me, and the generations of Tennesseans who will carry forward the traditions he so passionately promoted. And whereas Tony Sanders' integrity, leadership, and unwavering dedication exemplify the highest ideals of conservation and public service and embody the spirit of stewardship that the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission seeks to foster and preserve. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, meeting in regular session, that the commission hereby expresses its profound gratitude and appreciation to Tony Sanders for his distinguished service to the citizens of Tennessee and to the conservation of the state's fish and wildlife resources. Be it further resolved that the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission commends Tony Sanders for a remarkable legacy of education, stewardship, and service, and extends to him its best wishes and heartfelt thanks for his many contributions to Tennessee's outdoor heritage. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Do we want to bring Tony up here?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you don't have anything to say?
Oh, I can.
Come on, you've been on the radio for so long.
I'm not scared of mics. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm so honored. It's weird when I started Hunter Education all those years ago, I never knew where it would lead. And to have taught all the kids through the years, the radio show, it's just been an honor. I do need to thank Rob Pratula. For 15 of those years, he sat beside me on the radio. But thank you so much. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Martin, would you like to say anything about Mr. Sanders?
I think your resolution said it all, and I know we all love a brief meeting. Congratulations.
I'll second that. Moving to our agenda today, recognize Lieutenant Colonel Matt Majors.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And I too echo Tony, thank you for your mentorship. He was one of the first people I met when I was assigned as a wildlife officer in Hamilton County, and he took me under his wing, and I owe a lot of my career to Mr. Sanders too, so thank you. All right, let's get to honoring some of our great employees. You know, this is one of the most fun times of the year for me because we get to point out, you know, a lot of times our officers, our staff, whether it's fisheries, wildlife, they all do what they do because they love it. They don't seek any recognition. They don't seek any publicity. But to be able to give them a few minutes of public thanks means the world to us. So thank you for being here. And I'll echo what Director Maxinon said. It's the families of these people that make them good. I'm thankful that I have an incredible wife who has helped me pack sandwiches as I ran out the door to go be gone for no telling how long. And the families truly do support these men and women. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with our last year's part-time boating officer of the year. Assigned primarily to Center Hill Lake and Caney Fork River while supporting Dale Hollow Lake and Great Falls Reservoir, Officer Scott Bilbrey demonstrated an exceptional commitment to public safety and service. During 2025, he inspected more than 1,000 boats, issued 53 citations and warnings, and assisted with 50 additional enforcement actions and responded to boating incidents and distress calls with professionalism and compassion. Scott's dedication extends well beyond enforcement. He assisted with boater education and hunter education classes, helping prepare the next generation of safe and responsible outdoorsmen and women. He also represented the agency at numerous community events, including Putnam, White, DeKalb, Overton, Fentress, and Warren County fairs, 2 fireworks events, Wake Fest, making thousands of positive contacts with the public. What truly sets Scott apart is his willingness to go above and beyond. One example involved a stranded boater whose vessel had become beached. Although his official responsibilities had ended, Scott returned the following day on his own time to help free the boat and ensure the individual made it home safely. This simple act reflects the character and dedication he brings to every aspect of this job. In just 2 years as a part-time boating officer, Scott has earned the respect of his fellow officers through leadership, initiative, and teamwork. From mentoring newer officers, coordinating the maintenance and winterization of every district vessel, he consistently ensures both his coworkers and equipment are always ready to serve. Officer Scott Bilbrey exemplifies professionalism, integrity, and selfless service. His commitment to protecting Tennessee's waterways and serving its citizens make him truly deserving of this recognition. It's important to note that Officer Bilbrey was once Trooper Bilbrey with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And like many officers, he was looking for a way after his THP career to continue to make a difference. Well, boy, Scott, you came to us and we're thankful you did. You did make a difference. We are proud of you. We're proud that you brought Lieutenant Ryan with you to assist you in receiving this award, and thank you to your family. Come on up, Scott. All right, next we're going to recognize the Boating Educator of the Year for 2025. All right. It's my pleasure to recognize the recipient of the 2025 Boating Educator of the Year award to Officer Chase Rich. Education is one of the most effective tools we have to preventing boating incidents and save lives. And Officer Rich has demonstrated an outstanding commitment to that mission throughout the year. During 2025, Officer Rich conducted 49 school boating safety programs, reaching an incredible 1,605 students across his District 42 in Upper East Tennessee. Throughout these presentations, he provided young Tennesseans with knowledge and skills needed to enjoy our waterways safely and responsibly, and helping build a culture of boating safety for future generations. In addition to his school outreach, Officer Rich taught and assisted with 2 Tennessee boater education classes, certifying 48 new boaters. His instruction ensured that these new boaters gain a solid understanding of Tennessee's boating laws and safe vessel operation, and the critical importance of life jacket wear. Officer Rich's dedication to public education directly supports the mission of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency by promoting safe boating practices, reducing preventable accidents and incidents, and strengthening the connection between the agency and the communities we serve. His enthusiasm for teaching, professionalism, and commitment to public service have made a lasting impact throughout District 42. For his exceptional dedication to boating education and unwavering commitment to the safety of Tennessee's citizens and our visitors, it's an honor to recognize Officer Chase Rich as the 2025 District 42 Boating Educator of the Year. Now, Officer Rich has been no stranger to receiving awards here lately. Buckle up. He's just adding to his accolades. In the past year alone, he has been honored with the CFWA Tennessee Wildlife Officer of the Year, National Wild Turkey Federation Regional and State Awards, Hunter Education Educator of the Year, and Outstanding Service Award by the North American Wildlife Enforcement Officers Association. I used to think I was good. I ain't that good. Well done, Chase. Come on up. If we could take up a collection for him, he's going to need to build a bigger wall to put all his awards on. All right. And lastly, we're going to present the 2025 Boating Officer of the Year. Close. There we go. All right, we're going to start with the 2025 nominees. Selecting these officers, I think we can tell you, is pretty challenging. Each district has some great officers. So picking these are not often easy. All of these officers that you see on the screen from every district are very deserving of this award. But we do have to pick one. And this year, you might recognize him. He was up here last year, John Mark. So we're going to recognize John with the 2025 Boating Officer of the Year award for the second year in a row. If you're good, you're good, right, Mark? So. All right, Officer Mark has distinguished himself through exceptional enforcement, education, and public service while demonstrating unwavering commitment to boating safety across our Tennessee waterways. During 2025, he conducted 1,171 boating inspections, issued 430 citations and warnings, conducted 16 field sobriety tests, and made 8 boating under the influence arrests. His ability to administer field sobriety tests in both English and Spanish made him an invaluable resource, not only for District 21, but for officers across the state. Beyond enforcement, Officer Mark has shown a remarkable passion for education and outreach. He taught 7 boater education courses, certifying 254 new boaters, dedicated 250 hours to 24 public outreach events, reaching thousands of Tennesseans through schools, community programs, sporting events, news interviews, Spanish language, radio broadcasts, just to mention a few. His commitment to serving Tennessee's Spanish-speaking community has strengthened relationships and expanded the agency's ability to promote boating safety to a broader audience. Officer Mark also demonstrated outstanding professionalism during several critical incidents, serving as a lead investigator on 2 boating incidents, including a fatal incident, assisting with multiple search and rescue operations as well. Whether searching for a missing child, supporting law enforcement during a prison escape, or assisting state investigators following a fatal industrial explosion, he answered every call with dedication and professionalism. In addition to his accomplishments, Officer Mark has become a respected instructor and mentor teaching at our Tennessee Wildlife Officer Training Academy. His leadership, initiative, and commitment to continuous professional development has earned both the respect of his peers, partner agencies, as well as his supervision. Officer Mark exemplifies the high standards of the TWRA, while his leadership, service, and dedication to protecting our waterways to ensure the people have an enjoyable experience. Please help me join in congratulations for Officer John Mark. Come on up. At this time, I'd like the much better looking Lieutenant Colonel Shelley Hammonds to come up and present the Dispatcher of the Year Award.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Before we begin, I want to recognize our 2025 Wildlife Dispatchers of the Year for the regions. Our dispatchers are often the first point of contact for the public, but for our officers in the field, they are also the voice on the other end of the radio. Our officers routinely work alone, at night, on waterways, and in situations that can change very quickly. Our dispatchers keep track of them, provide critical information and resources, coordinate assistance, and most importantly, help make our officers get home safely. Help make sure our officers get home safely. It is a job that requires good judgment, patience, professionalism, and the ability to remain calm when everything happening around you may be anything but calm. We are fortunate to have outstanding dispatchers serving across Tennessee, and each year we recognize one of them from each of our 4 regions. In Region 1, are you going to click that or am I? Okay. In Region 1, we have Charles Scott Barber. Region 2, Jackie Shelley, who is here with us today. Lynn Lehman, Region 3, and Chelsea Stakira in Region 4. Each of these individuals represent the very best of our dispatch program, and I want to congratulate and thank all 4 of them for the work they do for our officers, this agency, and the citizens of Tennessee. From these 4 regional recipients, 1 individual was selected as our statewide Dispatcher of the Year, Charles Scott Barber of Region 1. Scott has been a TWRA dispatcher for nearly 10 years and serves as Region 1's alternate TAC. But when you look at Scott's career, you quickly realize that service to others isn't simply part of his job. It has been the common thread throughout his professional life. In addition to his service with TWRA, Scott has served as a dispatcher for Madison County EMS for 23 years. He has maintained his certification as an advanced emergency medical technician for 25 years, and he volunteers as an emergency medical responder with the Madison County Fire Department. That combination of experience gives Scott a tremendous depth of knowledge when things go wrong and people need help. But experience alone is not what earns Scott this recognition. Scott is someone who sees a need and acts on it. When Region 1 needs dispatch coverage, Scott routinely volunteers for extra shifts. When our officers participated in the Memphis Safe Task Force this past fall, Scott stepped up to provide dispatch coverage for those high-risk operations. His contribution also extends well beyond the radio console. Because of his knowledge of radio equipment, he routinely troubleshoots problems himself that would otherwise require a radio technician to respond. Without being asked, Scott assumed responsibility for maintaining the AED in the Region 1 office. And most importantly, make sure new employees and all employees in Region 1 know how to use it. With his AEMT background, he also volunteers to serve as a medic at agency events. And Scott doesn't just perform the job. He looks for ways to make it better. He identified a need to improve notification to our wildlife managers and created a streamline to that process. He has brought forward ideas to improve communications between officers and dispatchers, and recognizing the unique position our dispatchers are sometimes in when members of the public are experiencing medical emergencies, Scott advocated for annual telecommunicator CPR training for all agency dispatchers. Scott was also nominated for the Ken Owen Memorial Award, which recognizes a TAC or alternate TAC who demonstrates strong character, maintains agency compliance with TBI requirements, and makes a unique contribution to their department or agency. Scott doesn't simply answer the radio. He has spent his career preparing himself to be the person others can depend on when something goes wrong. Scott, on behalf of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, our law enforcement division, and the officers who depend on you every day, thank you for your professionalism, your initiative, and most importantly, your commitment to taking care of others. Would you please come forward? So that concludes our presentations.
Thank you, Shelley. I'd like to just congratulate all the recipients on these awards and all the hard work you put in. But I'd also just like to call out all our officers out there in the lobby and just tell you how much we appreciate what you do to keep our wildlife safe, but also y'all are the ones that run right at the challenge and not away from it. So you keep us, all of us, safe too. So thank you very much. Little housekeeping matter. I failed to call a vote on the resolution for Tony Sanders. So if I could get a motion to approve the Tony
I'll
Sanders.
make a motion to approve.
All right. Second. All in favor, say aye. All right, motion passes. We'll take about a 10-minute break and then we'll come back. Thank you. I now want to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Matt Majors for a proclamation that was referred from the Boating and Law Enforcement Committee yesterday.
No, you're not, because he's not here.
Apparently, this gavel only goes so far. Matt Majors, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. I'm sorry I was jabber-jawing. So again, Proclamation 2612. This is the temporary lift of the no-wake zone, Marion County Region 3 for the drag boat races there October 9th through the 11th, 2026. Do you have any questions on that? Okay.
Commissioners, you've heard the presentation from yesterday. Is there any discussion or questions? Do I have a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Proclamation approved. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to recognize Torrey Grimes, our general counsel, to provide a summary of the bylaw changes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we previously had emailed the commission members a small revision to the commission's bylaws. The bylaws have not been modified since 2020. During the pandemic, they were modified for some electronic meetings. So there's two things that the bylaws do. The General Assembly passed legislation to change the terms of several boards and commissions, including the Fish and Wildlife Commission. So all of the sitting members, your term now ends on June 30, and terms of new commissioners appointed will begin July 1 to coincide with the state's fiscal year. And in doing that, we needed to make a modification to the bylaws to actually reflect that. And then secondly, while we were doing that, we wanted to go ahead and make some changes to the electronic meeting section just to comply with existing law. Electronic meetings, obviously, you all don't do those really, but we wanted to make sure that they do reflect what the law requires should there be a situation and the chairman actually had to call an electronic meeting. So we've sent that to you about a month ago at this point now. It's also in your packets, and this is a little unusual, and I'm going to ask Chairman to call a roll call vote because we must have a 2/3 vote of the commissioners present to actually change the bylaws. So that said, I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll give it back to the chairman.
Any discussion or questions from the commissioners? Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, for a bylaw change, it requires 2/3 vote of the commission. So I'm going to ask Ms. G to call the roll.
Monty Baloo,
Yes.
Red Box,
Aye.
Greg Davenport,
Yes.
Steve Jones,
Aye.
John McCarty,
Yes.
Rosemary McElhaney, Rhonda Moody, Chip Saltzman,
Yes.
Haynes Storbit,
Yes.
Chris Devaney.
Aye.
We have a quorum.
Well, Torrey says all approved. We passed the 2/3. So the bylaw change is approved.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can I ask legal one quick question, Torrey, one quick question before we move on?
Absolutely, Commissioner Blue.
Hey, I've been talking with Torrey and Daniel some about the Asian carp situation we're in now with our current contract that had expired. So basically, we're in a period where we're not able to pay the commercial fishermen the rate that we were paying or anything at all. So it's kind of created a major issue with the harvesting of Asian carp on our waterways. So I was going to see if Torrey could give us an update where it's at and when we think that's going to be back rolling.
So the issue was that the the grant expired at the end of July. Our folks are working to get that grant on board, and Daniel just confirmed to me this morning that the first layer of CPO is now approved. They need the CPO budget office, and then the comptroller. We truly expect that in the next few days. And then at that point, we'll be able to push those contracts out. Now, we did seek approval so that just to ensure that those harvesters can stay whole, that they can bill for any catch going back to August 1, so they don't have a break. I realize that could be potentially difficult for folks that are
Sure.
on that cycle, but we will make them whole. And once this contract's done, and we're hoping, I'm gonna knock on wood, because it's a little bit out of our hands at that point, but at the same time, we also hope that maybe in the next couple of weeks we get that resolved for them.
Right. Thank you. So we will be able to back pay and go to August 1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And-
There will
and-
be no break.
And then also, Commission, I would like to bring up the next meeting that we have once this is approved, whether it's September or October. We're paying substantially less than what our border states that are participating in this program are currently. Basically, everyone's increased it. I think we have increased it by 2 cents this year, but still we are substantially lower than some other surrounding states. Kentucky won, I know. So I would like to amend that, not this commission, but once the contract is approved, maybe amend that if we have the funds, the federal funds in the budget. So I would love to take a look at that particular line item and see if we could amend it so our commercial fishermen that are in a very successful program and are the only thing that are making a dent in the Asian carp problem, competitive with the other states that we're in competition with.
If I could address that real quick, I don't know the particulars of that, but I'll certainly look at the fisheries division to see if we can run that piece down so that maybe they can make a presentation to give the commission the entirety of that picture.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Grimes and Commissioner Blue. I would suggest that we perhaps put that on the October agenda. So, all right, now we're moving on to the budget presentation, and I'm gonna call Deputy Director Frank Fiss.
Good morning, Commissioners. The budget was moved to today for approval, and I've got a summary of what I presented yesterday for FY 27 and 28 for the three major budgets for your consideration. First, for FY 27, here is the summary of the expenditures. For FY 27, we have payroll, operating costs, carry forwards, and expansions. As I noted yesterday, most of those expansions are from outside funding sources, and the total value is there of there already is an FY 27 budget. This expands it and brings the carry forwards into this year. How will that be paid for? The funding for FY 27, we will have funding from the State General Fund, license revenue, of course, federal reimbursements, our other earnings, the wetland acquisition fund, and some funds out of our existing reserves for wildlife and boating. For the wetland acquisition fund itself, I shared a proposal for expenditures for FY 27 and 28. As you see here, of note, we've greatly reduced the amount of money that would be looking for, that would be budgeted for land needs. We expect that to be used on surveys and maybe some small pieces that need to be purchased. A lot of times there's easement issues that we need to clean up, and it might involve using some funds. We have some capital projects in FY 27 that we're relying on the Wetlands Acquisition Fund. They're still in there. And we will continue to do facility maintenance, like on our WMAs, any state lands that are managed by TWRA, we can use these funds for. So we have 16 million set for that, and 6 million for law enforcement. And lastly is the payment of the in lieu of tax to the counties for that are lands that are in state jurisdiction or TWA jurisdiction that are state property. And that balances out for what we expect to, how the funding to run on this. We typically get about 24 million in the real estate transfer fund. That is, or tax, that is what funds the wetland acquisition fund. And we have other earnings associated with it, about 300,000 a year from interest on invested money that is in the account, or earnings for billboards and cell towers and things like that that may be associated with those lands. And we will have to hit the wetland fund balance a little bit for the carry forwards. That's at 1.2 million. And the typical in FY28, we look to use about, just 155,000. That's our intention for the wetland fund in the next 2 years. And now transition to FY28. Again, here are our expenditures. This number is lower than what you saw in as far as the subtotal for FY27. That's why I highlighted yesterday. And we have a few expansions for FY28. All of them that are in the wildlife fund are externally funded. The boating fund expansions are coming out of the boating fund as like state, as registration money. We have sufficient funds to cover these needs. And if we didn't cover them in the boating fund, we'd have to cover them out of the wildlife fund, which we don't want to do because we're preserving that balance. So here's how we propose to spend in FY28. And here's how we see it being funded. And again, the license and federal reimbursements are a major portion of that income that goes towards this, as well as the wetland reimbursement. And that concludes my presentation. Oh, no, I don't. I've got one more. We also intend to carry special requests and capital requests to the General Assembly this year. And as of today, this is our list of what we think are worthy projects for consideration. The first is that support for the TAC and radio network at $5 million. We have some dams that need work to avoid problems to the tune of $4 million combined. We have hatchery renovations that we need to do at our cold water or trout hatcheries and our warm water hatcheries, where we produce crappie, striped bass, walleye. And we have one building that has been on our list for a while to replace an existing work base. And we'd like that considered as well. So in total, there's about $20 million worth of requests that we would make of the General Assembly. And we would only be asking for approval to do these if we got the funding from the general fund as opposed to our dedicated money. And that concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Director Fiss, for that summary. Any commissioners have any comments or questions? Director Fiss?
Chairman, I got a question.
Certainly.
Frank, I meant to ask you this yesterday. After we spend this year on reserves, what will we have next year going into next year?
In the wildlife fund, we will probably have a balance of about high 80 million-ish in the wildlife fund. The FY26 has not closed yet, and it won't for months, but we're real close. The last number I checked was 89. I've got on my post-it here. On the boating fund, we're at 28 million, which is very healthy because that's about 2 years worth of need for that side of the house. And then the wetland acquisition fund, we started the FY26 with 28 million. And had we just kept churning through the available maintenance and law enforcement needs at the usual rate, we could still have 28 million because it comes in, we earn it collects $2.5 million a month. But we were very aggressive now that we had the ability to use it for law enforcement. Instead of the 6 million that we're going to use for law enforcement in the years to come, we actually used 16 million. So that effectively transferred 16 million from the wetland fund to the wildlife fund. And that's why we have such a robust number in the wildlife fund right now. And it won't last, but that's why we're in pretty good shape today on that fund. Thank you.
Certainly. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Make a comment. So the last slide where you were showing the capital outlays and you had 4 cold water hatcheries and 5 warm water hatcheries. Is there any way we could itemize those to show where they are?
I do have itemized lists of that, not in the slide deck here, but basically most of the cold water hatcheries and about half of the warm water hatcheries.
Okay, where their locations are, I think
Yeah.
that might be
beneficial. When we share this officially, we'll get that to you for sure. But also when we tell this narrative, we're going to talk about where these places are. A lot of them are in rural settings, and where the neat thing about a hatchery is it is in one place and it does good things there, but those fish go elsewhere. So they provide economic opportunity across the state, usually in relatively close to them, but they span out. It's like an airport. You can see all the places where all the fish go, and a lot of destinations out of those hatcheries. Let's put that way.
Well, I think that would be interesting when you take it up on the hill for our legislators. The other thing, and I should have asked this question yesterday, you talked about the Catoosa Forestry Building and how we might need that same facility other places. So you're doing I assume this is like a cookie cutter building. You're going to design and build one and then probably have to put that in other areas. About how many of those?
There's at least 3 more I can think of off the top of my head. And we're hoping that design is part of the process that takes almost a year through the stream process. If we can get a design that is approved, that will eliminate that step. And of course, that'll speed up the construction. We won't lose a year while construction costs go up. So that is the thinking on that.
It's a whole nother way of saving money right there.
Right. And we have we have this building in the stream program right now. We're probably going to go back and ask for it to be adjusted for funding to just do the design work if we can't get this money here. At least we'll have the design in hand, because it may come back that buildings are less, and then we would know that going forward. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any other comments from commissioners? I'll just speak on behalf of the commission and reiterate what I said yesterday, that there's a tremendous amount of work from the agency and the commission that went into this budget. Certainly don't want to give the impression that today we're just voting on something we haven't discussed ad nauseum. And the agency has cut a significant amount from their budget that will have real impacts upon the fish and aquatic life of the state. So there's just a point where you have to have more money to provide the same level of service. So I just want to call out the director and deputy director Fiss for the efforts they've made, and the full commission for the questions you've asked and what you've basically demanded out of the agency as far as cuts. So thank you for that. Do I have a motion to approve the budget? Thank you, Commissioner Box. Second, Commissioner Devaney. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Budget passes and is approved. Thank you, Director Fiss.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, we are moving into the rulemaking hearing of our agenda today. I'm Commissioner Chair Greg Davenport, and I will serve as the presiding officer for the rulemaking hearing. Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission will be considering 3 separate rules today. It is my understanding this rule has been publicly noticed consistent with applicable law. They've been filed with the Secretary of State's office and have been available to the public notice section of the agency's website. Agency staff have copies of the proposal and red line for anyone that would like a paper copy. The order of the proceedings will be as follows. Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency staff will present information relative to the proposed rule change or new rule. I will recognize the agency staff member accordingly. Commission members will then be permitted to ask questions or provide comment on the proposed rule. Once the commission members have had the opportunity to speak, members of the public will be permitted to provide comment on the rule before the commission. All parties should identify themselves before speaking. As chair, I reserve the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition. Generally, this will not be a question and answer session. Members of the public will have 3 minutes to speak for their comments. After an opportunity for public comment, the commission will vote via a roll call vote. With the order of the proceedings established, I'll now recognize Deputy Director Frank Fiss for the first rule presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is we're affecting the rule for the licenses, the fees for the permits and licenses for hunting and fishing primarily. I want to take the opportunity to thank the sportsmen and women of the state for funding the wildlife resources of the state. I mean, you see from this pie chart that license revenue and the tax that they effectively pay on to the federal government on hunting and fishing equipment makes up almost 75% of the funding that the agency uses to put, good management on the ground. And we also are thankful to get the real estate transfer tax. That's a big help to the agency as well. So as you heard earlier, we don't like to have to raise the fees, but we have to consider it at this time. Our costs for everyone in the country since 2015 were no different, have gone up at least 40% since the last license increase in 2015. That's, the dollar we had in 2015 has the buying power of 71 cents today. And we have struggled to provide keep our services at the level they're at, and I think we're kind of there, but I know we're missing some law enforcement in some areas, some gaps, but we haven't had to make any real cut that the public is going to see just yet, but we're getting close. And while we continue to look for other funding sources, this is one area that we need to continue this funding and this tradition, this funding model for the agency. Here's just some examples of some actual cost increases that we've experienced since 2016 as an agency. You'll see all those rates are over 50% in that time. This is actual expense by the agency for these products, boats, trucks, gravel, personnel, everything is going up in price. And that's nationally, and that's certainly something we're experiencing as an agency. So to address this, while we take the time to increase the fees to increase our revenue, we're also taking this opportunity to simplify the options. We've got some areas that we feel are confusing, and we hear from our customers. If we have fewer choices, it's easier to sell your product, and that's what we're trying to do: simplify, reduce the number of licenses, and we're also trying to get parity so that when you look at the table of what do I need to buy, whether you're a resident or non-resident, there are similar structure on both sides, so it's not as confusing. So I'll start with the timeline that we've been on here. This rule was filed on June 24th, and we've accepted public comment through August 11. We may hear more today, and we're here today for a vote on the rule. And if passed, it will go to a Joint Government Operations Committee possibly in December. And if it is passed at that time, it's the earliest effective date these fees could go into place would be July 1 of next year. And as a summary, we've adjusted all of the licenses as a group. They total about a 29% increase in revenue. Some license experiences for customers may go down a little. Some may be very similar. Some may go up more than 29%. But when you look at it in mass, it's a 29% increase. Here's an example of a fairly straightforward one here. The resident hunt fish combo has gone up from $33 to $42. So it's that $9 difference. And the sportsman's license only went up $20, 12%. So we chose to keep that lower than what we could have raised it, according to the statute, a full 40%. We kept it at 12% because we know this is a popular license. And because of this, the lifetime licenses are linked in law to the sportsman's licenses, they also go up by 12%. The real foot preservation permits haven't been increased since 2005, and they've increased from $3 to $5 and from $16 to $25. That's substantially more than the other licenses, but we're making up for a 20-year gap in this case. Migratory bird permit I discussed yesterday. We were trying to hit this $2 mark to increase our certification of hunters to bring in more federal funding. And there are no changes to any of the resident disability licenses. We also didn't change any permits at TWA lakes. So here's just an example of some of the structural changes that have been made. If you're a resident right now and you don't have a sportsman's license, you're looking at the top few bars here, you're buying an annual hunt fish combo and you're purchasing your method of hunting, archery, gun, muzzleloader, and then that is building out your package for cost. The proposed regulation would be that you buy your annual hunt fish combo and just purchase the license for the species that you're going to harvest. The alternative is you would get an annual sportsman's license. Now as I ran through yesterday, there are examples where if you're a three method deer hunter right now, and that's all you hunt for is deer, you're going to have actually a lower price in this proposed rule. If you are hunting with for multiple species on that list, you're going to have a higher fee than you have right now. So that's why I was talking about how all this averages out to that increase of 29%. For the non-residents, you'll notice we tried to keep a similar structure to what we have for the residents. That was part of the simplicity of this. And that, when you show up as a customer, if you're a resident or non-resident. So why does that matter? Well, all the people that serve our customers have to keep up with this. That's why we want this similar for both groups. But currently now, the non-residents are buying an annual or a 7-day all game. Now they would have to purchase either an annual or 7-day, and they would have to buy the species permit for those animals at that price. Or for the first time, they can get a non-resident annual sportsman license. We looked at the trout supplemental licenses. This has been adding confusion to our purchasing, our sales process for a long time. We have, as residents, you can buy an all fish or a no trout license. As non-residents, all the short-term trips are determined whether you have trout privilege or not. And over the years ago, there was, as a portion of the agency, there was a high cost to trout management. Well, we have added so much more management to fisheries on the warm water side since decades ago, when trout was really the only big thing, that now we're spending plenty of our resources on the warm water side, and it's only fair to kind of get rid of the trout stamp and just have one fishing license, and this will make it simpler for everybody involved. So currently, as I said, we have these short-term options, the 3, 10, and annual. We've heard from many fishing guides over the year that they would prefer us to offer a 1-day option. So we've heard that and done it. We also felt that the 7-day was more appealing than a 10-day based on what we've been seeing with the 10-day. And we, of course, offer an annual. Now, the 3-day fishing was one that we didn't have in our proposal last year, but we responded to requests from resort owners to have a 3-day. So we've added it back in. And yesterday we discussed the price that was there was a bit high, and we considered that, and we're bringing it back $10 less than it was yesterday at 40, which better matches what we did with the annual 3-day and all fish in the current options. There are basically no change. Other major changes are to the WMA permits. There are several WMA permits that you have to consider when hunting, and we want to have just one WMA permit, and that's what we've set up. We've eliminated 5, and the resident or non-resident is buying the same WMA permit for that privilege to be on the WMA. We've added some new licenses. These first 3 here help get that parity between resident and non-resident. There's a new, the senior sportsman is new for non-residents. I'm trying to think of the other ones that are interesting on here. They're all new, so they're interesting in that regard. But the Teleco Citico permit is new because we've never offered any kind of multiple trip option. You had to buy that permit every day you went, and there's a lot of people that fish it more than 10 times a year. We combined the taxidermy and the commercial fur bearer together because there's very few of these people or businesses, and they often overlap. We did, based on recommendation last year, we deleted the resident permanent senior hunt fish license, and we've upgraded the privileges associated with the youth license. This is the one for 13 to 15-year-olds. They are now considered a sportsman, so if they were required to have any other licenses or permits, they would not have to have them. It's just like any other sportsman's license. So I've got another 25 slides of all of the proposed fees, and I've been told that they're not very fun, but I think it's important that we show them just for the record, and I will reserve my commentary on them a little bit. So if would you like to see them all, the commissioners? I think we should. Okay. So here we go. I think it's important for the record if anyone's trying to capture this. These are the changes to the basic resident licenses. Continued here. Here are the species and permits that are new.
Frank, as you scroll, let me ask a question. Continue to scroll, but on the sportsman's license, our sportsman's license, if you buy that still in the state of Tennessee, you're still good on everything. You don't have to buy anything else, right?
For hunting and fishing.
For hunting and fishing, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm sorry. For hunting and fishing, if you're on North Cumberland doing OHV, that is different. If you're hunting over bait, that's different again by statute. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm looking at what we control.
I got you.
As
right. Hunting and fishing, you're good to go with the annual sportsman, unless you bait and then you buy your permit for that, and then OHV separate.
OHV separate.
Okay.
There.
Cool.
And boat registration separate. That's a different animal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue on with the basic, these are the ones that did not change, the disability licenses. Here are sportsman's license up 12%. We have, here's the change that we made to that non-resident 3-day to $40. Here are the non-resident species supplementals, non-resident sportsman's license options. Here are some permits and fees. Agency lakes, again, no change. When we took over Halford, we indicated we wouldn't be making any changes soon, and they lined up with all their other agency lakes. So we're kind of in a holding pattern there for some time. No changes at Gatlinburg. Again, we're offering that new annual permit at Telco Citico for residents and non-residents. Here are some permits for blinds. Resident high impact permits, not to be confused with North Cumberland OHV permits. Real quick preservation permits, which the sportsman's license does cover. Animal importation license. We're getting into some commercial licenses now. Commercial fishing, non-commercial or non-resident commercial fishing, mussel dealers, wholesale fish dealers. And exhibitor permits. I'm scrolling. The ones I scrolled, the most recent ones were the commercial fishing extra permits for roe harvest. They were recently instated, probably not as recent as I'm remembering now, probably a few years ago. There wouldn't be a lot of CPI to get in the first place because it was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And more importantly, when we put them supplementals on there, we understood that a typical commercial fisher may need to buy one of them, or in a year where the water is not allowing them to fish their home water, they may need to buy all 3 of them. So we feel like that bit of chance that they'll have to buy a couple will make up for what we could have done if we raised them all. We just felt that was an appropriate thing to do. And we work with the Commercial Fish Advisory Committee too on our fees as best we can.
Thank you. You forgot to keep scrolling.
Sorry.
Frank, again, hey, quick question on the blind registration in West Sandy.
Yes.
Or any blind registration. There was no fee prior, but we're proposing a fee for that. Did I read that right?
There were some with fees, some without. I'll just skip back.
Thank you. And I hate to even do that. But if you've got like West Sandy registered waterfield blind permit, new proposed.
New means it's a new permit that we're requiring altogether. So we don't have a base to show you for the price.
So if I've got a grandfather blind down there and I've been registering it for 20 years at no cost, now we're charging them $79. Is that right?
I'm going to yield to the hands that are in the air.
Let's let Commissioner Grimes weigh in here. Thank you.
Thank you for the upgrade, Mr. Chairman.
Counsel, pardon me. I've been asleep at the wheel over here.
One of the prior public comments when we reviewed this issue is it was a fairness issue. The folks that had the permanent registered blinds at Reelfoot were having to pay a fee, whereas West Sandy did not. And so in reviewing that, that's why we made those equal. So West Sandy historically did not have to pay a fee, whereas Reelfoot did. And that was one of the public comments from a Reelfoot blind holder that they felt like it wasn't fair.
Was Reelfoot paying $79 last year?
It was 61.
61. So Reelfoot's going to pay 79.
And so West Sandy will go to
West
79.
Sandy. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, go back to the last slide. This is just the guide services. And that's the final list of all the changes that we're proposing for licenses.
Thank you, Deputy Director Fiss. Members of the commission, are there any questions or comments?
I would just like to say, Frank, that's my favorite slide that you got up there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Torbett.
So one, the sportsman license at 185. I don't know if I make a motion or what, but I think we just take it to 189. I don't think the $4 difference is a big deal, and especially with 100 fishermen and knowing what our issues are with our budget, I don't think they would mind paying an extra $4. And in their minds, 185 and 189 is not a big deal. And then number two, going back to the lifetime license 0 to 3, I would like to make a motion of deleting that one and just putting it 0 to 7 and using the rate for the 7. I think it was 738.
Thank you, Commissioner Torbett. What we'll do if we have any amendments is after the commissioners have their questions, we'll let members of the public come up. Then we'll have another opportunity for commissioners to discuss. I'll ask if we have any amendments at that point, and if we do, we'll get the motion on the floor with a second, and then we'll have discussion from that point. Regarding the lifetime license, I think it may be an appropriate time for Counsel Grimes to weigh in about how we might address that. Remembering that I've appointed Commissioner Box as chairman of our ad hoc committee to try to figure out what to do with that. We're about to sign or execute an agreement with UT to perform a study on not just how we should price it, but how the corpus ought to be managed and how that should just be set up for a long time. So, Counsel Grimes, would you weigh in about if we don't do anything today with the lifetime license, that we will still have time to modify it after we receive the results of the study?
Yes, there will be an opportunity. You know, what's proposed here is literally just a CPI increase. We know that there's likely to need to be some legislative work on the statute that creates the lifetime license trust. Frank and I have been dealing with the state treasurer's office and the attorney general on that front. We've been working on this a long time. And I think at least my conclusion, and I hope Frank's conclusion is the same way, is that we're going to have to go back to the General Assembly and we're going to have to make changes to the way that statute works. In doing that, I would like to have the work of Commissioner Box's committee, but it may be appropriate, and this is certainly a commission decision, it may be appropriate that we ask the General Assembly to establish the appropriate price points and then give the commission, retain the authority for the commission to adjust those at later times as part of this big process. So a whole lot of moving pieces to that, and I want to make sure the commissioner understands kind of what's on the horizon, because that certainly is on the horizon. And just for a little bit of context, is the lifetime license fund the agency holds. We've essentially got two categories. We've got one category of those license sales themselves for people with for new persons. That's going directly to the wildlife fund. But then we also have a category of people that have bought one of these lifetime licenses that only the interest can be used. And one of the things that we found in Tennessee is if you have a lifetime license, 80% of those folks or more, I think it was more, wasn't it, Frank?
Well, as reported in the survey, it was a high number.
Yeah, a very, very high number actually participate and are users. So we're at the point now that these folks are in their 20s, approaching their 30s, and 80+% are a user and will be a user presumably for a certain period of time. And there was only $100 spent on a license. So there's an actuarial problem that has to be resolved here. And I think that's kind of where our headspace is trying to figure out, because at the ultimate day, you've got to get the appropriate price point. And you know, other states fund this. It's $100. It's technically subsidized by the other hunters and fishers. And, you know, it's an issue now. We've got to figure it out. So I just want to make sure the commission understands that that's the entire horizon over the next year or two that we're going to have to get to.
Well, and I apologize, Brad, if I stepped on your toes in any way. I didn't mean to step on your toes on any of that. So I apologize. And I guess I'll defer to Brad and his committee.
Stay tuned.
Council Grimes, it's my understanding that this license fee increase, the earliest it could take effect would be July 1st of 2027. And if we go through the process with the UT study, we would still have adequate time to get through the legislature with the lifetime by that time. Is that correct? Are we losing anything by delaying is what I'm getting at?
I don't know the timeline of the UT study, but presumably if you file a bill in January, so I mean,
Be another June hearing, and it would be before July 1. I guess I was thinking it was tight, but I guess it's possible.
I think it's very possible if we get enough information, from the UT study to know where the appropriate price points are.
Yeah.
Be a busy few months, but I don't know the timeline of the UT study though.
Well, they intend, they don't have a contract as of today, so they've got to get that contract going. But they do intend to have something for us in December, which we could plug in. We would have language ready to go to plug in price points or.
So to Commissioner Torbett's point, it sounds like that if we could pause on that issue until December, we still have time to address it. And it may be better to take it to the General Assembly and say, this is what our UT study says, and let them do it in statute. That way it could still go into effect July 1. Because there's several members, Blair's not in the room right now, but we've had this discussion with several members of the General Assembly, and they've been very favorable on, we've got to get this pricing right. And it's leadership that I've talked to about it.
So you're saying July 1 of next year?
27.
So from now to July 1, it's still the
Yeah.
320.
Yes, because we couldn't raise the price until July 1 of 27 anyhow. That's a statutory prohibition. So we still are on track to meet a good timeline in July 1 of 27.
Okay. Well, then we'll just stay tuned with Brad down there. He's on it.
Right.
My only
Commissioner
comment
Sussman.
on that, I know Blair's not in the room, and I'm sure UT will have this in December, but just in case it's January, just make sure council that we have a caption bill before the bill season closed, and make sure we're in statute before all of a sudden we miss the bill window. But we just make sure we have that caption bill ready to go and figure out who our sponsors are.
That's the yeah.
Now, not in January.
Sure.
Frank, do you have an opinion on the sportsman's license increase from 185 to 189? That kind of got lost in the lifetime.
You have the opinions, but just the math on it, we sell, was it 60,000 of those a year in that ballpark, 60, 65,000, depending on the year. So you're looking at, what's that, $250,000-ish? So it's just.
Thank you. Any more comments from the commission? Commissioner McCarty.
Briefly, we discussed yesterday the native license. Was there any research into how many we actually sell a year?
We do have that. We average about, well, in FY24, which is that typical year that I've been tracking everything off of, is about 6,500. And that related to right at $350,000, but across all the different licenses they could have purchased. And since it went into effect as a law or as a proclamation in 2017, we've collected $2.8 million on that. So, and that represents, well, I told you already, 6,500 people a year. So that's what we know about it.
Outside of this rule hearing that we're doing here, to adjust that, we would need a new rule hearing and go through that process if we wanted to find a spot somewhere between a resident license and a non-resident license.
Technically, that's before you right now. You could, I mean, the native Tennessean license was established by the commission via rule. It's not in statute. So its creation is totally within the realm of the commission, and including its price point that's technically before you. Do we have an adjustment to that today?
The only suggestion I would say is if there's interest in doing an adjustment, a recommendation as a percentage would help us so that we could apply it to the numbers that are on the page right now. And because rather than go through all the possible licenses and hit those points.
Could we get a summary of what we have in front of us as far as what it is now?
So they have looking to Susie if she still has this sheet, but they have the ability to purchase a sportsman's license, the big game, gun, muzzleloader, archery. They can buy annual North Cumberland OHV, combo hunt and fish, trapping, deer bait privilege license, trout supplemental. These are all annual licenses that they're allowed to purchase. They can't buy temporaries with it, and they can't buy lifetime with it, but they can buy annuals. This is my understanding. Yes. So the prices, I don't have the individual prices on this sheet in front of me, but they're, as was pointed out yesterday, they're $3 higher than you see because of the, I'm looking at Susie for the application fee, because it's a paper application, and well, we charge $3 for other licenses too.
So they lived here, they moved away, they don't live here anymore, and they can buy our licenses for $3 more than a resident.
Right. Instead of paying the full non-resident rate.
Yes, if Counsel Grimes would read the terms.
So the native Tennessean license is available to non-residents who are born in Tennessee. I'll just read the language of the rule. Non-residents who are born in Tennessee may apply for a native Tennessean annual license, which provide non-residents who were originally born in the state but who no longer reside in the state the opportunity to purchase an annual Tennessee hunting, fishing, trapping license at the same cost as residents. Applicants for the native Tennessee annual license must provide a certified copy of the original birth certificate showing the applicant was born in the state of Tennessee and or that the parent's address was in the state of Tennessee at the time of birth is shown on the certified birth certificate, as well as a valid photo identification. First-time applicants for the native Tennessean annual license must submit application to the agency. Native Tennessee annual license will be identical to the annual resident license sold by the agency, but will properly be designated native Tennessean. All regular annual license currently offered to residents will be available to applicants who qualify for native Tennesseans. And then we had a little clerical change, and that change will say, however, lifetime and permanent license may not be purchased under the native Tennessean license program. So the short story is currently that provision allows that person to actually buy the license at the same price point. You all can establish a different price point for the native Tennessean license if that's the will of the commission.
From my personal perspective, I do think that we should have some extension of this, but I don't think it should be basically the same price or $3 more. I would love to hear the opinions of some of the other commissioners, but I'm thinking somewhere between 25 and 50% of that difference.
Thank you, Commissioner McCarty. Any Commissioner Saltzman?
Yeah, thank you for counsel for saying who they are. And when I originally heard this, I thought it was some college student that made a really poor decision and went to Alabama for college and came back home and hunted with dad. That's kind of in my mind who it was, or God forbid, Ole Miss. And then got the benefit of hunting in Mississippi and Tennessee for the deal. But it doesn't sound like this is more, if you've got a birth certificate from Tennessee and you moved 25 years ago to Oklahoma or wherever, then you still get the same benefit by being, I would like a discussion on eliminating the whole deal. I mean, forget just increasing prices. If they've moved out and they've lived in another state where they get to hunt as a resident in another state, then I don't think we should put it on our taxpayers' burden for them to come back with the benefit just because they were born here.
Can I ask?
Yes, sir.
So this morning I was able to do a little bit of research on the history of it. Our rule is modeled after Mississippi. Mississippi has a similar thing. They call it
Oh,
their
right
native
there.
son.
We should really think about that.
Given the breadth of this,
This
though,
might be the only time ever that we followed a Mississippi model, but okay.
given the breadth of this, though, one of the things I've kind of learned on rulemaking is to not make it overly complex, because that makes our job a little bit harder when we get to go ops to have to explain it. If that's something the commission desires, it may be cleaner for us to address this issue singularly, and we can certainly get another rulemaking going. So
Yeah, I
that we
mean,
can
we're a
take this
state
up.
that borders 7 other states, right? And we have a big population in Memphis, a big population in Chattanooga, a big population in Tri-Cities, where they just have to move 10 miles away and they're in another state. And hey, that's their decision. Obviously, I think they should live here. We're a lower tax state than they are. But I don't know that we should be giving them an added benefit of letting our taxpayers pay for them moving out of state and coming back home and and we're having big discussions right now on resources, big discussions on fees. And if they want to move back to Tennessee, smart move, and they can buy a resident hunting license. But I don't think they get to move out and then come back and get a non-resident deal.
Any other commissioners? Chip, I agree with you. That's what I was thinking. I would like to know, Frank, could you give us a summary again of the revenue that's brought in by these native Tennesseans basically buying the license at the same price as lifelong residents?
Yes, that $3 again is the administrative fee that is charged to even regular or actual residents. So that shouldn't be a factor in this. Can't find my readers now. That's okay. So in FY24, we collected $347,000. So $350,000 is what we're talking about. Now, had they been non-residents, there's probably I'm not the person to make this guess, but our non-resident licenses are almost double. So that's the range we're talking about. So no, we're leaving maybe 300,000 on the table. And if we consider this, I just had some thought go through my head. If they've been certified as not as native, do we unwind that as well, or are they grandfathered in?
I'm a fan of cutting the cord, but I'll defer to the commission.
Yeah, I mean, they made the decision to move. And remember, what's our motto here? To protect Tennesseans, not folks that were born here and left. I like those guys. They're wonderful. But if they want to come back and move, they can be a resident. We don't get property taxes based off that. We don't get sales tax based off that. If they want to live here, they get to be a resident. If they don't want to live here, they're a non-resident. I think it's pretty simple.
So we have before us a couple of items that may need further study, one being the lifetime license categories and the other one, the native Tennessean. Council Grimes has suggested or not suggested, he has offered that we might have a separate rulemaking hearing for this. Is it the commission's desire that we defer this until then and give it good thought, or is it something someone would like to take action on today?
Just to let the staff and everybody have a moment to think about it, because I know I get a little animated when I hear things for the first or second time, but I think I'd like to make a motion to have the commission look at deleting the native language in our December meeting as we get ready for budget.
So we want to proceed with that today.
I would like that.
Okay.
If the commission votes.
All right, let's, Commissioner Salzman, if I might, just let the public offer their comments, and then we'll come back to your motion, if that's acceptable.
Perfect.
All right. Any other comments from the commission? Commissioner McCartney?
That was very interesting learning about the fact that we learned this rule from Mississippi. I would like to bring it to everybody's attention that Mississippi charges more than 10 times from in-state sportsmen to out-of-state sportsmen. If we learn a rule from them, I'd like to learn that one.
Any other commissioners? Council Grimes, do you have any comments?
I don't know that we necessarily need a motion. If we can, the agency can certainly bring a rulemaking in December to address that issue. It's pretty straightforward, I think. And we'll have that prepared. We'll do the public notice, and that way it'll be before you for consideration.
Okay, let's move into public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment regarding the license rule, please come forward, state your name and location, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing no public comments, can I get a motion to, I'm going to make sure I state this properly. A motion to adopt the license rule is presented by Deputy Director.
So moved.
I've got one point of clarification. Did we discuss the 185 to 189 from Haynes? And what do we need to do to that if we do want to move to 189?
What I was going to do is get the motion on the floor and then have discussion. Yeah. Sorry. So I have a motion from Commissioner McCarty. Do I have a second? Second. All right. I have a second. So now the motion's on the floor. Any discussion related to or amendments related to the motion we have on the floor? Commissioner Torbett.
I'll make a motion to move the sportsman license from 185 to 189.
Any comment from any commissioners? Commissioner Box.
What else is tied to that number? Because that would
yeah.
adjust the percentages.
We, to the effect that $4 would get us to move the whole dollar amount on the lifetime, we could move those as well. I just don't know. That's tough math from the podium. Okay, we'll adjust those. You will have us move it to 189. So 189 divided by 165 is some percentage. We apply that to the lifetime, and we round to the down or up to the, like normal rounding down or up. Okay. That's what we'll do.
All right, any other discussion on the amendment as proposed? All right, Ms. G, would you call a roll vote?
Monty Baloo.
Aye.
Red Box.
Aye.
Greg Davenport.
Aye.
Steve Jones.
Aye.
John McCarty.
Aye.
Rosemary McElhaney.
Aye.
Rhonda Moody.
Aye.
Chip Saltzman.
Yes.
Haynes Torbett.
Yes.
Chris Devaney.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, the amendment passes. Do I have any other discussion or amendments from the commission related to the license rule resolution? Seeing none, let's call a roll. I promise I haven't been drinking this morning. A roll vote on the resolution as presented.
Monty Baloo.
Aye.
Red Box.
Aye.
Greg Davenport.
Aye.
Steve Jones.
Aye.
John McCarty.
Aye.
Rosemary McElhaney. Rhonda Moody. Chip Saltzman.
Yes.
Haynes Torbett.
Yes.
Chris Devaney.
Aye.
All ayes.
The resolution passes. Before we proceed, I'd like to take about a 15-minute break, but I'd like to commend the commissioners on some good thought on this, and especially the 189 and the native Tennessean. As long as I've hunted here, I've never even known that existed. So thank you for researching that, John. So 15-minute break. All right, let's get going here. Deputy Director Fiss, would you like to discuss the range permit rule?
No, okay, we're good. Okay, yes, I will. There, this next rule is shorter. Recovers our ranges and hunter education centers. One of the main changes that we're doing structurally to these is we have a 3-tier system now where, and you have to really look at the website to figure out whether you're to tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. We're making it easy. We're just calling them by name and we're grouping them into 2 groups. So I'll start with the first group, which is public shooting ranges. These are located out in mostly in our WMAs and some at Seed Lake Graham and Chambers Creek there and Wolf River. But these are what we call unmanned. There's nobody there. You just roll up. You have to pay your fee or have an annual hunting and fishing license, and then you can use it. And of course, people show up a lot. Maybe people would use these for sighting and rifles, And then fees for that are going up. We're offering 2-hour sessions and annual permits. And the 2-hour session, we're just catching up with industry rates there to get to 10%. There's no CPI requirement on these. We're just catching up. It's been a long time since we've looked at some of these. And again, most of our users on these, I don't have any data on that, but I would imagine most of our users are hunters that are already have a hunting license and we're not getting any additional revenue. Thus, they're not manned. These are what we call our hunter education centers. These are major structures. There's a lot of there's a few agency staff there and a lot of volunteers that help us run these facilities. We could not do it without our range officers, and thank you to all those. But we have 3 hunter education centers: Stones Rivers in Middle Tennessee on Priest, John Severe's over near Knoxville, and Bartlett's near Memphis. And these offer shooting with pistols in Bartlett and pistols and rifles at the other 2. There's a classroom at these that is of interest for people to rent out and do their own qualifications and stuff. We have a lot of partner agencies that want to use our ranges from time to time to qualify. And because of the federal funding for these, we have to charge them something to cover their time there, or else we get an audit finding for not appropriately using the public funds. So we're able to cover that base with the fee structure. And here's going to be the fee structure for these ranges. They're slightly different. Bartlett is going to currently different. Bartlett is going to 12 per hour. Stones River and John Sevier are going to 12 for 2 hours. And then you can still get an all range permit. This will let you go to any of them at any time. And even if you didn't have a hunt and fish license, you could still go to the unmanned ranges for that 150. We're trying to promote more use of our ranges. The classroom rates have gone up some as well. We've offered some other options, including that 5-day one. That would be a situation where you might have a group come in and want to do their own qualifying or something with their own range officers. And again, we just have this price structure for use of the classroom and the range. And this is the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any comments or questions from the commission? Commissioner Saltzman.
Our partner agencies, who might those be?
Local sheriff's office, looking to law enforcement, TBI. Yeah.
Well, just because I'm in a mood, I love making deals with our partner agencies like local sheriffs and all that kind of stuff, but the state of Tennessee doesn't cut us any slack. Are we cutting them on rates when they borrow
it's
our
not
stuff?
our intention to be, it's not a discount. We weren't charging at all before.
Okay.
And we need to be charging to be able to show how we're cleaning. If we don't charge, then all the cost of the cleanup, which really all it is, once
Got
they've
it.
used it, comes out of the sportsman, and that's not right. That we want to keep that that's a lot. There's a lot of federal dollars supporting these ranges, and we want to make sure.
Well, that was my
Yeah,
point, right?
yeah,
I mean,
we are charging.
I didn't want to, we're state of Tennessee's charging us more over here, and then we're not charging them any
Right.
over here. So I was like, we need to be fair with our partner agencies and the folks like the sheriff's departments who don't have much money anyway. I mean, I love doing those when the people that are helping us, but I just wanted to make sure when we do things with the state that we be fair on our side.
Commissioner Saltzman, I might ask Counsel Grimes to address that.
So, Commissioner, we had an audit finding a few years ago, and since we did that, I actually had Daniel put together a fee schedule. So all of those other outside groups have a fee schedule that we do charge back. That's not in rule because the rule is really the notice to general public. So, but we do have a fee schedule that they abide by.
Right. Thank you. Does that mean the meeting's over?
Unfortunately, that's not what it means. Any other comments from the commission?
Baby was born.
All right, I'll go into public comment. Any comment from the public on the range permit rule? Seeing none, I don't think we're going to have an amendment to this rule, so can I get a motion? Let's see here. A motion to pass the range permit rule. Second.
Second.
Ms. G, would you call the roll?
Monty Baloo. Aye. Brad Box.
Aye.
Greg Davenport.
Aye.
Steve Jones.
Aye.
John McCarty.
Yes.
Rosemary McElhaney. Rhonda Moody. Chip Saltzman.
Yes.
Haynes Torbett.
Yes.
Chris Devaney.
Aye.
All ayes.
The rule passes. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Chairman.
For the next rule, I'll call Lieutenant Colonel Matt Majors regarding proposed no-wake zone at Pine Lake, NWZ.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Today is a no-wake zone proposal for Pine Lake. And Pine Lake is part of the Beach River watershed lakes in Henderson County in Region 1. The lake is approximately 30 acres, but as you can see there on the screen, there's a pretty good outside of the normal operating area where the boat ramp and beach are. And it's my understanding, I've also got Major Jay Corbett here from Region 1, but he said that area gets a lot of use. So they're having continual problems with people trying to load their boats, people at the beach with lots of wakes there. So in order to make this a little bit safer area, we are proposing extending that no wake zone all the way across to the other side there. That way it'll slow those boats coming in and out and allow the boaters to load their boats a little bit safer and give a little bit more protection to the swim beach area. Also, this came about the Beach River Watershed Development Association. They met as a board and they approved moving forward with this zoning request. So with that being said, I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Box?
Really good idea. That lake is way bigger than 30 acres though. 500, yeah. So
I wonder where I got that.
So is the area just,
I believe you.
well, I used to water ski every day there. But where is the no wake area? Is it just right there by the ramp and the dock? Okay. All right. By the way, we call it piney, not pine.
Piney Lake, 500 acre area. I stand corrected.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments from the commission? Seeing none, any comments from the public regarding proposal no wake zone at Piney Lake, NWZ? All right, seeing none, Ms. G, would you call the roll?
Monty Baloo,
Aye.
Brad Box,
Aye.
Stan Butt, Greg Davenport, Steve Jones,
Aye.
Tom McCarty,
Yes.
Rosemary McElhaney, Rhonda Moody, Chip Saltzman,
Yes.
Haynes Torbett,
Yes.
Chris Devaney.
Aye.
All ayes.
The rule passes. Commissioners, that concludes our agenda for today. Before we close out, do we have any public comments from members of the public? Seeing none, any comments from any commissioners? Commissioner Moody.
I would just like to throw a shout out, a thank you for our supply, our dealer to the right of us, Chuck Yost, has supplied us with the nutrients to get through this morning's meeting, and I'm very thankful. Sorry for all the harassment yesterday. Not really.
Worth it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.